two ways to describe Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. A hedge against inflation. That's what they said. We didn't say it. But then two ways that we've known Bitcoin and cryptocurrency described properly is not a hedge against inflation, because the moment the Russia-Ukraine crisis battered the world economy, guess who were the first to cry about the inflation rate? Crypto. So every time you talk about crypto bros and you talk about inflation, it's a word that makes them angry. Then another thing that made everybody happy about cryptocurrency: no regulation. But then maybe now it's time that we need to ask proper questions whether indeed regulation, and especially from the central banks, is something that needs to go together with Bitcoin. Because, not Bitcoin essentially, sorry, but cryptocurrency. Because let's start by looking at this particular list here so that we can see one of those Bitcoin traders who've gone down. And this particular list that we're going to show you right now essentially also hasn't started now, because in 1 year we have 4 that we knew there were questions behind it. Now they've come to the fore and saying we really need some sort of bailout. But from what perspective? Let me introduce you to the latest one, who's BlockFi, that has already filed for Chapter 11 of bankruptcy in New Jersey. And they're citing exposure to FTX as a major factor in their collapse. So we look at this 4, by the way. They're going to talk about FTX. We do know exactly what's going on with FTX. Now, BlockFi has stated in their filings, now that's the recent one that has gone down, they've stated in their filings they have billions in liabilities and over 100,000 creditors. Now, this is the latest major crypto casualty of the FTX failing, with the companies such as Sequoia Capital and Paradigm writing of hundreds of millions in invested funds, and others such as Genesis then experiencing liquidity crisis of their own as a result. But then it doesn't stop there. Now, when you track BlockFi, by the way, it hasn't started here, because in 2020 there were rumors of massive layoffs within BlockFi. We didn't see them materialize. It's up to now that we've essentially seen what that means then when it comes to this list that we're looking at right now. Because we're talking about, I mean, if you look at them, FTX essentially then would be blamed, because BlockFi have said they're going to sue FTX in the latest unfolding, because they've said, well, it's because of their failure that we cannot continue to trade. So a lot of us who are essentially in those companies that have been under BlockFi are going to lose their assets, because what sort of bailout are you talking about? Maybe now, when you ask a question then, as we start to look at business today, the essence of a bank, a crypto bank, where you put in your investment as crypto, and then they will do trading that essentially give out loans in crypto, and then come back and make a return on their investment. Is it really something that you can count on? Because when you're talking about volatility within crypto, it is never like seen before. In fact, there's no currency that experiences the volatility that cryptocurrency gets to experience. So when somebody tells you that there's a crypto bank, what essentially are you going to do as a crypto bank? You can't say that I'm making crypto investments, because then all these investments they're making, whether they like it or not, they have to go and buy the dollar. So once they buy the dollar, with the ups and downs, once crypto then dips the way it's been dipping, with people describing it that the dip has been deep than deep, then what you make out of it? So when we're crying of getting bailed out, in what form are these companies going to get bailed out? Or maybe, should we ask the question, is this the death of crypto? the way we do none of it. Just before we begin, let's again look at that list. Because we're starting with the FTX, fine, and then all that then goes down up to Celsius. And guess what? Analysts are saying there could be more, not just these ones that we're saying here. 4 million Kenyans were already invested in crypto. In the region, it could be the highest. Lookuptv across all your social media platforms. I'm at Kiage Simba. This is Look Up Business. Now, let's then start like this. Centum PLC has become the second company after Nation Media Group to buy back its shares from the market in a bid to rescue its share price through a share buyback program. Through a press statement, the listed firm says that it has plans to buy back 10% of its 66,544,171 listed shares at a maximum price of 9 shilling 0.03 of a cent. Speculation of Centum's intention to enter into the share buyback program first appeared in the year 2020, but was shelved due to disruptions of the COVID-19 pandemic on the market. The firm has since its valuation gap in the stock market widened, with the company now valued at just 16.18% of its net assets per share. Centum Investment Company narrowed its net loss by 2% to 1.33 billion shillings in the year ended March 2022, as weaker performance in its Two Rivers real estate assets offset improved profitability in other divisions. Moving on, President William Ruto has said the government is committed to creating a robust livestock value chain in the country in a bid to uplift the livelihoods of the pastoralist communities in the country. The president indicated the government's plans to enhance the meat industry in the country, as well as plans to resuscitate hide and skin processing in Kenya. The president was speaking during the opening of an induction workshop of the Pastoralist Parliamentary Group at KICC, Nairobi, while stressed on the need for Kenya to bring an end to cattle rustling, banditry, ethnic violence, and other forms of insecurity.
The regeneration of the livestock economy is important, especially in uplifting the poor and vulnerable pastoralist majority. The production of good quality skin, including its recovery from animals that die from causes such as drought and accidents, goes some way to maximize livestock value. Very, very specifically, when we went around the country in our economic forums, the one thing that came out from all the pastoralist counties is the livestock economy. I also want to give you my commitment that because we have the third largest herd of livestock in Africa, we should leverage the biggest benefit from the livestock economy, both in terms of meat and livestock products. You have my commitment in investments in the entire livestock value chain, from the meat and livestock products, and that is part of what we envisage to do in our industrial city in Naivasha.
Moving on, the High Court on Monday stopped the government from the importation of genetically modified food and crops. Lady Justice Mugure Thande gave the injunction following a petition filed by the Kenya Peasants League challenging the government's decision to import GMOs, arguing that it poses a health hazard. The importation has been temporarily halted, waiting a hearing and determination of the matter on December 15th.
The debate on the importation of genetically modified crops and food in the country has been taking center stage. And now, the exercise that has elicited debate in the country from both the political and social arena ended in the corridors of justice, where it has been halted temporarily, waiting for the determination of the case. The Kenya Peasants League filed a petition against state law and the Cabinet Secretary Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries, opposing the importation, cultivation and consumption of GMO crops and food in the country. The league members argued that GMO poses a deadly health hazard, particularly to the poor and those of low income. The ruling reads, and I quote, "This honorable court is pleased to issue an injunctive or conservatory order prohibiting the respondents, either by themselves or their agents or other person under their instructions, from gazetting or acting upon the contents of dispatch from the cabinet authored by the Executive Office of the President of Kenya." The court also issued an injunctive order prohibiting the respondents, either by themselves, their agents or other persons acting under their instructions, from permitting the importation of the GMO crops and food in the country. In their petition, the Kenya Peasants League argued that GMOs, if permitted into the country, will gravely affect their farming as peasants, thereby affecting their productivity and sustainability. The GMOs have negative and even fatal health effects, and as such might affect the petitioner and the rights of the general public to enjoy healthy food products and to enjoy their right to life. By failing to grant the petitioners and the members of the public an opportunity to participate in the decision-making in connection with lifting or otherwise of the ban of GMOs, the respondents thwarted the petitioner's right to be heard, fair administrative action, and the principles of good governance under Article 10 of the Constitution. That the right of consumer protection is most likely to be threatened should the GMOs be imported in the circumstances herein, as the Kenyan consumers have not been informed sufficiently on the issue of GMOs. The ruling comes at a time when the government is divided on the importation of GMO crops in the country, with CS Agriculture Mithika Linturi distancing himself from the rhetorics of his trade counterpart.
I am not aware of what Kuria sent, and I don't take what I find it on social media as anything that is worth responding to, because I am the custodian of the statistics on how much food we require in this country, how much food we consume every day. So I don't want to get into that space. And right now, I have, with my technical people, I've worked on all the deficits in terms of maize, in terms of beans, in terms of rice, whatever is required of the country to ensure that immediately after this harvest, we do not lack food.
Linturi also dismissed the health concerns raised by different factions on GMOs.
So, Cabinet has pronounced itself on the position of GMO. So it's not something we can discuss. So if there will be need to bring GMO maize, we will do it, because the Cabinet has decided that we must lift the ban. But remember, even if we were to get there, there are certain protocols that guide use our importation of GMO. Who is it that can be able to tell us where or which channel, where is it that there has been linked, any cancer case has been linked to consumption of a GMO? Let us be honest with one another, and let us not fall into this story of politicians out there who have nothing else to do but make a lot of noise, because
the ban on the genetically modified organisms importation was effected on 18th of November 2012 and lifted by President William Ruto last month, October 3rd. Brian Amuai, Lookuptv, Nairobi.
President William Ruto has affirmed the government's commitment to promoting a retail network to enhance the socio-economic transformation of the country. Ruto said this during the launch of the Twiga Foods Distribution Center in Ruiru, Kiambu County, where he has pledged to set up a produce center in every county to boost agriculture and mitigate food shortage in the country.
Quest for more incomes, greater efficiency, and increased productivity. I am pleased to note that at the heart of this visionary enterprise is the objective of establishing and maintaining an efficient retail network, which is a priority of our strategy for rapid socio-economic transformation and a focus of the Vision 2030. It is our intention to lead the transformation of our retail sector from the traditional shopfront-based system to a modern e-commerce system which supports a competitive trade-based economy. We are encouraged by the possibilities demonstrated by Twiga's model, especially in the potential to complement government drought mitigation efforts by resolving supply chain and distribution constraints that exacerbate food shortages during drought. Our vision for agriculture-led growth entails establishing at least one produce consolidation and distribution center in every county.
A section of leaders from Kisii County have decried the treatment of members of the community in the ongoing public service appointments by the government. Led by Nyaribari Church Member of Parliament aspirant James Kinani, the leaders claim the community has been sidelined. Let's take a look.
We are particularly concerned as a matter of community, in the community, that we seem to be outside, we are distant. At the moment, we are in the region of about 1.8 million people in Gusii. That's the latest figure I've been advised, but it can't be subject to confirmation. Now, 1.8 persons have got only so far, and we are grateful for that. One minister, that is Honorable Machogu, who has been given the docket of education. The community, as it stands now, is dissatisfied.
In Gusii region, we have a special problem, especially to the women politicians. When it comes to appointments in the national level, they are left out. And when it comes to the county level, they are also left out. Like recently, the CECs were being appointed, and one of the women who was a politician who had vied is the only one who was dropped. So we are wondering, is it a taboo for a woman who has vied from Kisii not to be empowered in any way?
Yes, allow me to pull up a tweet I just put up yesterday. I'm sorry, you won't be able to see it, but I'm going to just pull it for you so that I see exactly what your engagement on that is. Sometimes it gets very interesting to see exactly what it is that you're talking about. Yes, this is as regards their market. Good. So now, if you look at how we closed yesterday, there was something very interesting going on in the equity turnover that we got to realize yesterday by market close, because we were at 37 million, yes, 37 million, 921,262. Yeah, those are true numbers. But then again, let me read you then what that was from what we closed Friday. That was a negative 24,985,407.68. Whoa. Almost 50-50. the negatives almost came down to what the positives were in equity turnover. Guys, what's going on? Where is the money? Oof. All right, let's go back then and see why there was this bad performance yesterday. And if you look at how NSE 20 share index and the all share index were trading yesterday, it will be a proper indicator on why we had this sort of turnover. Let's cross over then and talk about it. Right now, we're going to start with our biggest gainers from yesterday. I'm going to see whether we do have them. Yes, indeed we do. So for me, I will talk about NBV, and I will tell you what, and I do apologize for the way they look right there, because we should be having the before and after, because I will tell you what NBV is reading like right now. They're at 3.95, 3 shillings and 95 cents. But that's a big one, sort of points, just a couple of cents to 4 shillings. That will be the biggest one again, almost going back to what they touched in 2020. CIC is coming in at 2 shillings and 8 cents. For me, those two, let's talk about NBV, the interesting stock there. Oscillating between 3.9, 380. I've seen them go to 385, which could be a positive. So that representing 5.88% change then. That's why we have them like that. All right, let's move on to the biggest losers from yesterday then. So we see whether we do have any surprise. Right now, you do know Britam is there, Crown Prince is there, Everett is there. Let me see whether I can confirm that. I will tell you why Bamburi is here, because now they're doing a 31. That is negative 6.89, looking at that value like that. But then I would also apologize for the way it looks around that. Let me just pull real-time figures then, so we get to look at them. Right now we do have capacity. It's actually right there, 11.95. That is an 11. That is 12.13%. But again, if you look at where they're opening now, they're at 11 flat, meaning they're going to get back on it. And we do have Liberty as well. Britam is there, and Sasini was there. Wasn't there, but it's right here at this particular time. Bamburi is not essentially on the losers list, but we do have them from yesterday at 31.10. As how they closed it yesterday. Good. Let's then move to where the money was in terms of volumes, and you're going to see depressing figures. I will tell you. Yes, they're depressing, because Safaricom, which is, by the way, biggest indicator. Now, you see, this will tell you then that we don't know where the money is. Because how is it Safaricom has not done 1 million in volume in a day's trading? This could be their lowest this year. 678,800. Beaten by KPLC, probably the first time this year. KCB comes in at 106,900. And Kenyan and Kenya Re are being there. But look at where Kenyan is, 95,600. Like 95,000 met the top 4. Kenya Re, 82,000 made it to the top 5, sorry. And 1.8 was only realized by KPLC. No wonder then there is that negative equity in turnover, because what? KPLC is now doing at what? 170? 160 last time I checked. No wonder then, despite that volume, if Safaricom had gotten that, then they could have saved the numbers that we saw from that negative equity. But then, because it was KPLC, that particular share is almost worth nothing, you would say. That's why we're saying this. Whoa, where is the money? Or have you gone on holiday? I've not. I am trading. Anyway, once we come back, let's go back to a particular event that we attended right here on Look at Business that's going to open us to the beverage industry in the country. Sort of an outlook for 2022. We did attend the Beverage Awards. Let's look at it once we come back. I'll see you tomorrow for another episode.
Hiso Properties Limited bado tunakutangazia Lanet Oasis Nakuru City. Ploti hizi ni za 50 by 100 na ni mita 500 tu kutoka kwenye barabara ya lami. Lanet Oasis kuna maji na stima, barabara za maram na ni karibu na shule ya Anesta Boys. Eneo hili lina usalama wa hali ya juu. Ploti ya 50 by 100 tunakuuzia shilingi milioni 1.6 na hii ndio fursa ya mwisho na bei hii. Tutembelee ofisi zetu hapa jijini Nakuru Tower 1 Building, orofa ya 3 au wasiliana nasi kupitia nambari 0758 707 050 au tuma neno Lanet kwa nambari 21404. Hiso Properties Limited, a culture of trusts.
Vera Beauty and Fashion College is focused on being the leading technical and vocational training institute in the region. Our team possesses in-depth knowledge and extensive experience in the industry, offering thorough training in cosmetology, hairdressing, interior design, creative arts, training of trainers, nail technology, and fashion design. With branches in Nairobi, Thika, Meru, Eldoret, and now